Okay, welcome back to the Investigative Journal on this August 10th, 2016 day on our calendar. I'm your host, Greg Anthony, and you're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com. You can listen to my show every evening from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's Pacific time on First Amendment. They also play the show at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you, First Amendment. Monday through Friday, you can catch that show. And if you can't listen there, please go to my website, my long-standing website for over a decade, chronicling the Vatican-led New World Order, and that's at arcticbeacon.com. Our show has been called the alternative to the alternative media, and what that really means is the narrative that we present here includes much needed information regarding how our country was formed, the Vatican's role in that, and the Vatican's role in history. Throughout history, I claim, and many researchers claim, they are responsible for most every war known to man, and it's going on as we speak today with their caliphate in this is an offshoot story, folks, but the caliphate that in their creation of ISIS, we're contending they also created Islam back in 700, and this is just an extension of that. Okay, enough of that. We've done shows on that. Today, part 4 of what I call the greatest theatrical staged play event in the history of mankind is being shown again to us, and that is the 2016 presidential elections. As you know, I view these elections through a different lens, and the lens I view is almost like a Hollywood movie camera lens. And I say that this show that they put on every 4 years is one of the biggest staged events, and really is what you would call a Hollywood political event. All of it is staged, all of it is scripted, all of it is pre-written, and what they do is they place in the characters that they basically hire or audition for. These characters audition for their roles just like they do in Hollywood, and then they're cast in their certain parts. Now, I say this, that what you're watching unfold today, the presidential election, is their main event they do every 4 years here in America for our consumption and the world's consumption. It's a big draw at the box office, and this year, boy, they are setting records of people being interested in this stage play they're presenting every day now until November 8th. Now, they do this every 4 years, and every 4 years off of this major production, which I consider to be even bigger than a Hollywood production. When you go to a Hollywood movie, okay, that's great. However, what they're doing, you know it's a staged event, right? And then you come out of it thinking it's fiction. Well, they've created such an event here. This is why I call this even bigger and better. The producers, even stronger, larger, and even the writers, even more experienced. And boy, do they write a play or a theatrical event for you. They have all the elements. They have sex and crime, they have wars, they have deception, they have everything, political intrigue, murder even. Yes, murder. And the question becomes, when you're watching this stage play, you actually think it's real. And the real story emanating from this stage play is that all the events are real. People do actually die here, not like in Hollywood movies. They actually do die. People actually lose their jobs. People actually are affected by this. And what are they talking about? What are they talking about? So before we get in, and in my parts 1, 2, and 3, I presented an overview of who the script writers are. We're going to get in depth on how they do it, who they really are, and I say they're the Jesuit order and their underlings. The producers being the heads of the Vatican-led New World Order at the Vatican and others that are scripting these events. And then I talk about the main characters. Now, cast in the main role this year, there's 3. One is the President of the United States, Barack Obama, coming back for his 3rd major performance And in part 3, we went over who he was. And like I said, you can go to Google and find out all his political endeavors prior to him being cast as the presidential nominee 8 years ago. Well, why is he coming back for a third performance? And this is all scripted, written out, and we talked about that in part 3. He's coming back because they have cast an old actress named Hillary Clinton, she's been acting for years. She's been on the stage since, the 90s, really. Well, she was doing a bit part as the wife of a governor in Arkansas. And when her husband was made president in 1992, she was First Lady. So she's been on the stage a long time. And my question was, why would they want to hire cast this old actress again and again? It's kind of stale. It's kind of old. But that's why Obama's there, to help her along. And that's part of the script. Now, at the end of the show today, I'm going to present to you a little bit about her person, how they're depicting her. And she's right now she's experiencing some physical disabilities that are a side story to this play we're doing, and we're going to get into those. Now today, what I want to do with the next actor, and I'm telling you, this guy has some acting experience. In fact, he was a big Hollywood television actor prior to him being cast in this role as the Republican nominee for the United States presidency. Yes, he was on reality TV and had a very successful show for over a decade, making millions of dollars, and everybody saw Donald Trump on TV as this flamboyant builder. He's a master builder. You know Trump Towers, you know everything about him. He's a master builder, and so, just as we did with Obama, we're not going to go into everything he's done in his life. You can check that out. We're going to try and look at his Jesuit or his Masonic connections. Now, knowing that he's a billionaire builder, you know he has to be connected to Freemasonry. He's a builder. That's what Masonry is. And through that, there's many different connections. But I have not been able to find him being a member of a lodge or anything else. But I do watch his acting ability ever since he started this new role. Now he's cast in the big role, going from reality TV now to the big stage. And he got this part, I believe, because he's a great actor. This guy has taken over the stage and upstaging both Clinton and Obama so far. And just one thing after another keeps rolling out in this stage play. And before I get into, and all we're going to do is look at his Jesuit connections and his possible Freemasonry connections. But once you look at his performance so far, you find him saying the most outlandish things. And it seems to take over in the press coverage every day when you're watching this thing unfold on TV. Now, who is the press? Mr. Trump, the actor, is depicting him in the script that's already written for him, the press being on the side of Hillary Clinton, and he's not getting a fair shake. That's how they're showing this. But let me tell you who the press is, and we'll do a complete show on the press involved in this script, that they're presenting us. And the press really is the reviewers of this big stage play. So look at them as Hollywood reviewers, how they review this. And of course, it isn't objective. It is a biased view based on the fact that the script has already been written. And so I've got some inside information on the script writers. So I've been trying to get my script in, and they won't accept it because I'm kind of outing them as being the real problem in this whole thing, and they don't want that. They want the Jesuits and the Vatican to be out of the picture, but they're actually writing this, and so we're not going to get into that today. I did basically a little bit of that in part 3, but what I see here is that the press is kind of tipping off who's going to win. So we're going to make some projections. Now, one, I've gotten some you know how when they write the script, they're thinking this thing's been a hit for so many years. How far can we go? So what their whole it's going to end with this whole one world order, one world government, one world religion scenario, and all of the wars and all of the things they're planning lead up to this end. I've gotten that from an inside source who's been writing this stuff. Now, secondly, the question becomes, which one of these major actors is going to be standing and be the President of the United States when the show ends on November 8th? And there are many ways to look at this. We'll look at that later. But as we did with Barack Obama, we're going to do the same with Trump and only look at his Jesuit connections, his connections to the script writers, to the producers of this stage play, and in a sense show you why he was cast in this role. Now, I think it's very unfair. There wasn't even a casting call, like they do in Hollywood. For example, if there's an Al Pacino movie and there's a movie out, they've already precast Al Pacino as the lead actor, so you don't have much of a chance to get into that role because the producers have already selected him. And that goes on and on and on. De Niro gets selected early. All these guys. Look on the women's side, the same thing with the big women actresses. And these movie scripts are written, and then they cast these people. And there really isn't it's kind of like the primaries in this movie. You see the 17 people that were cast were auditioning for the part during the primaries on the Republican side. Then we had 2 on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders and Hillary. Bernie didn't get the job. And those other 16 Republicans didn't either. So that's kind of how it works in Hollywood too. So Trump got the casting role. He got the big part in the biggest stage play ever presented to man. And I just look into his connections to the Hollywood or these Vatican insiders who are the producers of this play, connections to the Freemasonry people who are the insiders. And you have to understand, if you've listened to some of my other shows, that Freemasonry is connected to the Vatican, and the Vatican and Freemasonry work together. Many, many stories I learned when I was in Italy years ago as a journalist. There was basically 150 when I was there. High-level cardinals and bishops were outed as being members of the P2 Masonic Lodge. And so that gave me a hint that these two things are connected, even though the Vatican likes to say that they're opposed to Freemasonry, don't believe it. So you can get all the stuff on Trump regarding his building career and all of his finances and all that. You can Google that. Just like I said, Google Obama's political life before that, where he grew up, etc., where he was born. I just looked at Obama and his connections, found many, many connections to the Jesuits and the scriptwriters, so you know that he was precast for this role that he's playing. And he's coming back for another performance because that's the way they're writing this script. They got this inept old woman with physical problems now as a Democratic candidate, and she got the role. And the only way she got it was she must have really sucked up to the producers and directors and writers of this play. And what does that mean? Oh boy, a lot of money going back and forth here. As the Clinton Foundation and the pay-per-play portion of this play, this theater play, it will unfold as we watch this movie right before our very eyes taking place. We got another 90-some days of this grand performance to stomach and to watch, and millions of it. This is really probably their biggest ratings ever, making a lot of money off of this one. But anyway, let's look, if we can, at some of the things about Donald Trump and his connections to Freemasonry and the Jesuits and why he got cast, because he sucked up to them too, and they thought of him as the perfect person for this role. So let's look at this quickly. Now, I could not find any, connections to him being a member of a lodge or anything like that, or saying he's a 33-degree Mason, anything. But I do check him out and watch his performance. And during his performance so far, he has given some, the Freemasons like to use hands as signals. They use hand signals. And one of their big ones is taking your thumbs and your index finger, and when you're sitting down at a table and the camera's on you, you'll see an inverted triangle that really appears between the knees of the person while he's talking to the moderator. And I noticed Trump do that on a number of occasions when he talks to Sean Hannity on the show on Fox, one of the reviewers of this play. And then I also witnessed a Freemasonry handshake between the two of those gentlemen. There was a time in the beginning of the movie, he doesn't wear it anymore, he wears an American flag on his lapel. He was wearing a definite Freemasonry symbol on his lapel and his coat jacket, which is now I haven't seen it there in a while. So those are kind of signs that they're giving us in the movie here, that he is connected to the high-level Masons. Now, let me go to some of his the questions that people ask when they're watching this movie are, is he a real secret agent for the Jesuit order? Has he been put there for a reason in this script? And so it plays out to their satisfaction, and then gets so many viewers, and their whole little scheme here, their whole little movie that's going to continue after the elections. And what I call those are the spin-offs or the sitcoms, all the little shows that spin off of this major performance, to really culminate in their ending, which is the one world order, one world government theme. That seems to get a lot of interest. Oh God, there's so many stories regarding that. It's incredible. You can just go and Google that, and they've made a big deal out of that. But anyway, Trump has been the subject of media frenzy as of late. The reviewers of this movie are really interested in him, and that's what I said. He's upstaging everybody. And it seems that a considerable amount of those who look at the alternative sources are Trump, who subscribe to Trump are supporters of him for this reason. He's really outlandish. He's really something when he's on stage. And they see him as some kind of rebel. That's what he's depicted as, going against both the Republican and Democratic parties, as exemplified by his recent non-commitment to support the Republican nominee for president. This is back when the show was just getting started in the Republican primaries. And this goes on. He has really butted heads with all the major old players, all the old actors, the Bush family who starred in this role years ago, and he doesn't like them. And all of the old guard, there's a number of these supporting actors in the Senate that he criticized, John McCain, saying that he only likes people who aren't caught, not the soldiers that are. So it really he got on the bad side of the supporting actor McCain. Then he's criticized another supporting actor, Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, and it goes on and on and on. So they're really presenting a rebel, somebody bucking the system. And the questions that people are asking, though, when they're watching this movie is, could Donald Trump be a false flag candidate being used to secure the vote of the ever-increasing independent constituency in order to inevitably lull the U.S. into a false sense of, listen to this, positive political novelty, and thus to subsequently impose Jesuitical right-wing fascism, leading to a nationwide race war, as devised by the masters of class adversary, the sons of Loyola, the Jesuits, the writers of this script, that always keep themselves out. So some people are catching on, the reviewers are catching on, that maybe the writers here have a real interest in this play they're writing, all right? And is Trump there to create this right-wing fascism if in fact they have scripted him as the next president, which we don't know yet. That's the suspense. But others say that he's been put there, and the reason he's ripping apart the Republican Party and saying outlandish things, like yesterday he even said something on one of his shows that he put on. They were doing a scene, I think he was in North Carolina, and he was given a very rousing speech in front of 6,000 extras that they hired to go there. And I wonder if they get paid. They should get like $100 a day. We'll have to check into the union laws on this part of the movie. But anyway, Trump said something that kind of insinuated that if Hillary Clinton, the old actress, is elected, that Second Amendment people could do her in, because she is going to run on a ticket that gets rid of our guns. Now that's pretty good writing, isn't it? So he takes, and this just went viral. Then, of course, the old actress gave another, she was doing another performance in another, I think she was in Florida. And guess what happens? Behind, when they do these scenes, when they're giving rallies, there's always people in the back of them. And they carefully select those people because they know they're going to be on TV. But in this case, something happened, and do you remember the guy that was in the movie, in the scene they shot at the Orlando nightclub where all these people were supposedly killed, and this guy named Mateen was the shooter who was killed, and he was this, he didn't like gay people, and also was a radical Muslim, they said. So you had this thing of a radical Islam committing a crime against gays. And guess who was right behind Hillary Clinton in the scene yesterday? Mateen's father, who has come out publicly saying he's a radical Islamist. And also says he's the acting president of Afghanistan. The guy's a little screwy, but it's a nice little bit part. He's a day player, comes in for a day. But why would they put him behind Clinton? And that played out yesterday, so everybody's arguing about that. And another thing happened, and we have to get into this, then I'll go back to Trump in the next half hour. But one of their little intrigues is always the Clintons, who have been stars in this movie for a long time, have always been, this is only the reviewers who are really stretching things they say, but it could be true. It's the Clinton hit list. I mean, there's... God, I read it the other day, and it was like 45 people throughout the time these shows been put on have seemed to die when they get close to the Clinton scandals. And yesterday, there was a DNC, that's the Democratic Party. He was a worker for the DNC. His name was Seth Rich. And if you followed part of this whole show, WikiLeaks has come out with a number of damning emails that... are showing that this lead actress, and they're playing this up really big, is corrupt, and they're using their foundation that's supposed to be charitable as well as for pay-for-play gains. They've become millionaires. When they left the White House in the former movie, they were broke. Now they're worth over $100 million. And incredible story. Well, Julian Assange, who runs WikiLeaks from Holland, made the statement that he believes that Rich may have been killed because he was one of his informants giving inside information about the Clintons. What a story. What a storyline they're writing, huh? All the intrigue. Better than a Hollywood movie. That's why I call this the big movie. And so now they're investigating that in the movie, because he was shot in the back walking in the park, and he wasn't robbed. Nobody took anything. So they're not just saying it was a hit. It was a hit for a robbery victim. They're checking to see if he was murdered for another reason. More intrigue with the lead actress, Hillary Clinton. So that's a little side story that they're playing out in this movie. Like, can't you see how this is getting interesting? So we're going to be back, talk more about the lead actor, Donald Trump, and his connections to the scriptwriters and producers. Back in 3 minutes on the Investigative Journal.
The book of Revelation says, "The spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ." This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.
Okay, we're back for the second half hour of the Investigative Journal on this August 10th, 2016 day on our calendar. In the first half hour, we looked at the main actor, Donald Trump, one of the three major actors in this big stage play called the 2016 presidential elections. And we began to look at his background and why he got cast in this role. Did he suck up to the writers and the producers? Appears he did, but he's doing a good job, let me tell you. And so we're going to look into that, just a little bit about his background connected to only these people, how he got this job, how he got this role. And we're going to do that in a second. But before I do, the major question people are asking when they watch this movie is, which one of these three actors is going to win the presidential elections, which they say is coming up on November 8th. Now, there's three opinions that the reviewers have been putting forth that I've read. One is that the old actress Hillary Clinton has been scripted to be the president, and she is there to usher in illegal immigration, to further the New World Order scheme. Now, others say, no, it's going to be Donald Trump, the strong lead, flamboyant actor for the Republicans, who's going to take us in a direction of nationalism and fascism and etc., and lead us into the New World Order in that way. However, others claim that Trump won't win, like I mentioned, because he has been put there to make sure that Hillary Clinton becomes president, the selected choice in these scriptwriters who have already got it written down, and they're going to roll that out during the elections. And the reason that people say that is because he's really undermining his own campaign, if you listen to him. And he's saying the craziest things. And really, he's losing in the polls right now because of those things he's been saying since the Republican convention about 3 weeks ago. And if you listen to all the little gaffes he's made, maybe these people have a point. But who knows? Now, there's a third opinion that there won't be an election, and that the reason Obama's taking center stage here and will be taking a big role in this come October when he gets on the campaign trail with Hillary is because there won't be an election. There'll be some kind of chaos, and he will suspend the elections because of the chaos in the world, and they'll suspend them for a while. Now, some people have said, well, he will just declare himself a third term. He can't do that because there is the 22nd Amendment, which prohibits a president from serving 2 terms, more than 2 terms. And that was passed after Franklin Delano Roosevelt served 4 terms. And then they passed the 22nd Amendment to limit it to 2. Prior to that, it was kind of customary. The president only run for 8 years, 2 terms. Roosevelt changed that. So anyway, that looks like that's not going to happen. So it's got to be some kind of chaos, and they suspend the elections, and Obama continues because they can't hold the elections. So that's a possibility. So that's what people are interested in. I just wanted to get that out of the way. The reviewers are really wondering who's going to win this darn thing. But anyway, let's look at Trump's background to the writers, the Jesuits, as well as Freemasonry, as well as the Vatican, etc., who are really, I'm just concerned how he got the part. That's all. So let's hear. Trump, he does claim to be a Presbyterian, yet this actor attended Jesuit Fordham University for 2 years. The writers own these universities too. So he attended one of their universities. Beginning, was he sucking up to them? And then transferred to the covertly Jesuit-controlled University of Pennsylvania. The University of Pennsylvania is funded by various papal court Jews, and these are people that work for the Vatican but call themselves Jews. Notably, the Annenberg Foundation, started by Papal Knight and Walter Hubert Annenberg. Annenberg briefly attended the University of Pennsylvania in his youth and later established the Annenberg School for Communication at the University of Penn. Mr. Annenberg is a Knight of Commander of the Order of St. Gregory the Great. Now, Court Jew David L. Cohen is the Chairman of Board of Trustees at the University of Pennsylvania, as well as an alumnus of the University of Pennsylvania. So we're showing the ties here to the writers and the producers of the Vatican. He is also the Executive Vice President of Comcast. He was recently named co-chair of the Leadership Planning Committee of the Roman Catholic World Meeting of Families in Philadelphia, which is coming of the Pope to Philadelphia. Remember when the head producer of this whole play arrived in Philadelphia back in, September of last year? Well, the University of Pennsylvania could be renamed Hofjude University because it is enormous amount of papist Jewish funding and leadership, and really the entire Pennsylvania area is controlled by Roman Catholic hierarchy via the Jesuit provincial holding jurisdiction. One of their main writers has his organization set up in Pennsylvania, one of the Jesuit headquarters. They have different writing headquarters all over our country, and so they have this Jesuit provincial holding jurisdiction in Pennsylvania. The Archbishop of Philadelphia and the Bishop of Pittsburgh, in conjunction with the government officials, produced from the University of Penn and the following Roman Catholic and Catholic-funded universities: LaSalle University, Duquesne. Wow, these guys have a lot of education. That's why they're such good writers. Pennsylvania State University, Villanova, Temple, St. Joseph's U. Protestants do not attend Roman Catholic institutions, especially Counter-Reformation Jesuit institutions like Fordham. So Trump is at very least an apostate for having done that. However, the story does not end with Trump. Okay, so we're just trying to establish his connection to the writers to show you how he got this big part, and the producers. Now, out of his children, he has his 3 children listed on Wikipedia have attended the following schools: Donald J. Trump University of Pennsylvania. That's Donald J. Trump Jr. Ivanka Trump, University of Pennsylvania. Eric Frederick Trump, Georgetown University. Oh, that's the big one. Big Jesuit headquarters. So there you go. There you have it. Trump, in addition to being affiliated with both Jesuit Fordham, Jesuit University of Penn, and his 3 children being alumni of Penn and notorious Georgetown University. Whether it be Trump, one of the old actors, Jeb Bush, one of the supporting actors, Jeb Bush, who was one of the primary candidates in the primaries, major actor Hillary Clinton, or even Bernie Sanders, were there. Now, if Clinton or Trump end up winning the 2000 election, all of these candidates are connected to Rome. And even, we're looking at the supporting actor Bernie Sanders, who was running in the Democratic primary. He was connected to Rome. He's connected to Rome, as well as Clinton, which we will show in an upcoming show. And so whoever they implement are all connected to the papacy and the writers and the producers. So they got it covered, don't they? And even the supporting actors like Jeb Bush and others connected to Rome. And if you look back at the major actors in the last God knows how many years, they're all connected to the writers and producers. So you know how they got their part. And that's really what I wanted to establish with Trump. The information on him is regarding his position as lead actor. You'll see that he's even been depicted as officially at war with the writers of this. The Jesuit Pope, who's now the head producer of the play here, is attacking the lead actor and accusing of him of not being a Christian. So this is more of the stuff being written in these tabloids to get interest for this big show, right? And they say Pope Francis is a hypocrite and is a member of the military order, Jesuit order, that has been murdering millions of Bible-believing Christians for centuries. Now this is the interest. You read about this in the tabloids. This is all it's like Hollywood. How do they get interest in their movie? All these tabloid articles. Well, this is one here where they're saying that the lead actor, Donald Trump, is at odds, at war with the Jesuit order. And the writers and the producers, that creates interest, huh? How does he keep his job? Well, they cast him. He's got a contract. This is all just stuff coming out in the tabloids that you see every day. The Jesuits, remember this, were excommunicated and banned from the Roman Catholic Church in the 1700s for political infiltration and for carrying out assassinations. Wow, you see how this thing works? Wow, they've written this thing back way in the 1700s too. It's quite interesting. And they even wrote in their plays back then, which didn't get the coverage. They didn't have TV back then, so they had to go actually on a stage and do it. And through reading and writing, which was a little bit more difficult for the people. Nowadays, people don't read and write very much, so they can just use TV. But the point I'm trying to make is that they were doing this years ago, and they've been kicked out of 80 countries. That's what they've written in their plays. It's amazing. They've poisoned so many people. They've supposedly killed Lincoln and Kennedy. I mean, it goes all the way back, and a number of other presidents. So they've got this thing down. It's a great story, and that's why people keep coming back and listening to it. But this is all tabloid stuff. Nobody believes it. But this creates interest, doesn't it? Below is an extract from the Jesuit Oath. They even give you the Jesuit Oath. Read that. It is interesting. But anyway, that's just a little side story about Trump. And that's in the tabloids. Now, let's explore this. Donald Trump, he's 69 right now, right? New York real estate mogul. They call him in the movie the unrepentant bigot, and continues to dominate the Republican presidential race. And he won it, and now he's in the big show, right? He's continuing the big show, the presidential elections. His ascendance, and the reason why he's such a great actor in this, he's accelerated his popularity by his willingness to insult virtually anything. Any ally within the conservative movement has left GOP leaders dumbfounded. So he's even dumbfounded. The people in his party are dumbfounded. How did this caricature, this actor of the Republican politician who has never held elected office before, this is the part he's playing, it's kind of interesting for the people to get this, and whose personal ideology is remarkably fluid. They got him saying so many different things. How did he beat all these people like Jeb Bush and Scott Walker, all these supporting actors who were really prominent in the political scene? They're saying maybe he's a false flag candidate for the Democratic Party to make sure that this old hag actress, Hillary Clinton, who, boy, I'll tell you, I'm going to present to you some information on her tomorrow regarding her physical health and her mental health that's going to really shock you. They're really playing this up, man. What a movie. And to understand this theory, it's helpful to understand where it came from. Okay, so we're going to go back to the tabloids here. And a Google search suggests the reviewers of this play, right, are writing this stuff, suggests that the first person to remark about Trump's indirect assistance to Clinton was the anti-war activist and conservative libertarian Justin Raimondo. In a long blog post back on July 13th, just a few days after Trump stole Jeb Bush's lead, see, this is already back to the primaries there, Raimondo argued that the timing of Trump's entry into the presidential race, which the candidate had long hinted at, but until this year never followed through on, could only be explained by a hidden Democratic wrecking operation designed to assist Clinton's parallel campaign. Wow, they have written some interesting stories in this. This beats the one they did in Hollywood called Angels and Demons. This beats anything I've seen. And the question is Donald Trump a false flag candidate in this movie? It is all an act, one that benefits his good friend Hillary Clinton and Democratic Party. And if you look back at their history, you know how the tabloids write. Clinton, I think they actually came to his wedding, to Trump's wedding when he married Melania. So they were buddies in the past. So indeed, Trump's pronouncements, the open racism that he presents, the demagogic appeals, the popularist rhetoric sound like something out of a Democratic political consultant's imagination, a character of conservatism as performed by a master actor. Wow, he got a good review. See, these are kind of reviews too, so he's playing a really good part here, maybe. That could be construed so far. We don't know yet the ending, but people are talking like that, and it's quite interesting, isn't it? Very interesting part of the play. The idea that Trump is running an elaborate interference campaign on behalf of Clinton may be absurd, some say, but there is enough truth to Raimondo's theory. It makes just enough sense. Now, when Raimondo wrote this, that was really before the elections got started, the presidential elections. This was during the primaries. They were questioning, God, is this guy ripping the Republican Party apart? And when he won, it's interesting to see what they've written in the script, going back to, this started during the Republican convention? Many of his outlandish statements are as if he is kind of, causing his own demise. In the play, his poll ratings are down low right now. And it's because of things he says. He can't keep his big mouth shut in this movie. And if he did, and he just stuck to the issues like a normal party Republican would do, that's how they've cast him in the past, the Republicans, he might have a good chance to win, because the candidate now depicted, this old hag candidate, they've written a script for her, is really not a very good candidate in the eyes of many of the reviewers. I mean, she's lacking so much. And this would be a cakewalk. So maybe there is some truth to what's going to really happen in this movie and how they've written it out. So we're looking at it that way. Somebody tweeted this. The popular conservative writer Allen Ginsberg distilled Raimondo's argument into a vexing thought experiment. He said this, and this was way back, this was on July 23, wasn't it? If Trump had an agreement with Hillary to ensure her win by embarrassing the Republicans and then running as an independent, what would he be doing differently? Ginsburg's tweet has since been retweeted over 400 times, including earlier this week by a Wall Street Journal columnist, James Taranto, who serves on the paper's influential editorial board. So now the more serious reviewers are getting involved here. It would of course be incredible and virtually unprecedented in modern politics if a major party's top candidate were to run a campaign for the purpose of electing the party's most imposing political opponent. So what exactly supports the theory that Trump is such a candidate? Wow, what a movie line they've got this year. That's why so many people are interested in this movie. So what are the traits? What are the... It would, of course, like he said, be incredible, but what are the points in the movie that show you this may be happening? Though he's recently, they say, rebranded himself as the only Republican brave enough to speak the truth about undocumented immigrants, his past associations and political positions suggest the theory is, if not entirely believable, not exactly implausible. There are three main lines of argument supporting the assertion that Donald Trump is running and is acting a false flag campaign here. And that's the movie line they're writing. One, Trump cannot possibly be considered either a Republican or a conservative, once you account for his apparent political beliefs, many which are remarkably liberal, and concrete policy proposals or lack thereof. Trump has close ties to two other main actors. One, Hillary, the main actor in this play, and Bill Clinton, a former actor who was, elected president twice, and has in fact donated to her and the other Democrats' campaigns in the past. So he's given them money in the past. And three, Trump's apparent intent to run on an independent ticket should he lose the Republican nomination. Now, we know that didn't happen, but he won the nomination, so that's how they played it out in the movie. This guy won, and that was amazing that he did that. I mean, that was compelling, a compelling story they wrote. So they checked his background out and his past acting ability and what he did, and he said that according to voting records, Trump is currently registered as a Republican, but in the past has been registered and repeatedly voted as a Democrat. In fact, he appears to have switched between the two parties at least 3 times in the last 14 years. In 2001, when they presented the big 9/11, that was one of their big shows. That was kind of like one of their biggest sitcoms they ever produced off of the elections in 2000, the big show. And that one, boy, was something out of a Hollywood movie. In fact, it outdid any Hollywood movie I ever saw, 9/11. Okay. He switched from Democrat to Republican. In 2008, he re-registered as a Democrat. In 2010, he re-registered as a Republican and maintained that affiliation to 2013. So Trump now is certainly a Republican, but only in the sense that any voter can register as a Republican. It's not like party officials perform an ideological litmus test on any voters. Complicating matters further, and this is really good in one of the reviewers, Trump's New York City residency, Republican New Yorkers have been known to register as Democrats in order to participate in Democratic primary elections, which are frequently the only elections that matter in the municipal politics in New York. The question whether he's a conservative. Now, see, they get really technical in these things. And let me see how much time I have for this part 4. I got about 3 minutes. So let's do this quickly. The question whether this main actor, Trump, is a conservative is even trickier. Within the modern conservative movement, for example, it's more or less assumed that candidates representing conservative interests believe in abortion rights. That abortion should be restricted, in many cases radically so. It's also assumed that conservative candidates oppose the 2010 Affordable Care Act, and in a sense, Trump falls in line with that right now. But in the past, he has basically endorsed both abortions and universal health care in the past. So there's a conflict, and there's many more, so we can get into some of those later. But let me end by saying this. Like I said, close connections to the writers and the script writers to get this major role. we showed Fordham University, Georgetown, his affiliation to many, many big Freemasons, known Freemasons. We cannot find him being a member of any lodge, but we have shown that he's shown hand signals, which is very prominent among Freemasons, and I pointed those out. You can check those out too. So there you go. That's how he got his part. Now tomorrow we're going to delve into the old hag actress Hillary Clinton, who's coming back for another role. Nobody thought she'd get the part. And we're going to talk a little bit about how they're depicting her in this movie having serious problems with her health that are causing her to act kind of weird and crazy sometimes. When you watch some of her performances given at some rallies and when she talks to people afterwards and when she talks to Congress, it's an amazing look at her. And are they depicting her as going to have a stroke before the election, giving it to some other Democrat like Joe Biden, who always comes to the rescue? Uncle Joe, that he's performed many supporting roles, was the supporting role star in the last one as vice president. Who knows, but it could happen. The way they're depicting her, man, when you see some of this stuff, not only you're going to see her as they've depicted her as a liar in the worst sense. So this movie has a lot of deception, a lot of lies. It sells in Hollywood, it sells right here in the big show. So we're going to look at her tomorrow. And also her connections to the writers. Now I know why she got this part again, even though she's a washed-up actress. She has sucked up to them so bad and given them more money than, God, Carter has pills. So we're going to go tomorrow and delve into this lead actress and how she got this role again and again and again. People are up in arms. If I was an actress or an actor, I'd be up in arms too about this. You don't have a chance getting a part. Well, anyway, we'll see you tomorrow for part 5. Have a good evening and good night.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie, with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character, as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy, in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the Revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the Left Behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.